Hi everybody, Ray Hayden here, and I'm in the barn. And today's video is going to be kind of an update to yesterday's video, because when I was brush hogging that stuff in the overgrown field here, I didn't record the first part of the morning, and then I only recorded part of it, and then I stopped recording. And for the afternoon session, I didn't record that at all. Now this field here is behind the barn. Okay, so there's a barn behind us there. There's a pen, I guess, for the horses to hang out in and everything, but we don't have any horses. And then there's this part of the field behind that. This is very overgrown, and I got that down. All of this stuff is easy for me to clean up very quickly. Just as long as I don't let it get away from me, everything will be fine. And then this is overgrown field that we're in now. And it took me a while to get to that fence that I'm about to show you. But it's that big fence, and I got my mower stuck in this field. And this area right here behind me right now is a big muddy mess. Hogs, or pigs, have been rooting around in here. I'm walking through puddles now. Anyways, but this gate that I'm about to show you, it took me a while to get here. But I was very happy that I did. And then I promptly got my mower stuck right here. I have a vehicle that I got that out with. Talk about that in a different video. I am waiting for these thatches or the thickets here to die off a little bit more, and then I'm going to come aggressively at them to get rid of those. And this one here behind it as well, that will open up a big part of the front field, because you can see along the fence line back here, I did make a big jump into that. And this tree is on Google Earth satellite images, so I can see as a reference point where it is that I want to go, or where it is that I'm at, and how I want to plan my attack from there. Now, this is actually a big puddle right now. It's a big muddy mess. And I'd love to be working back in this area right here right now, but I can't because of the mess. It's just too much. It's too much stress, strain, aggravation, and frustration. And this stuff isn't going to grow back and fill that in fast enough for me to not take care of it again. And let me show you the kind of like the scorched earth kind of thing it looks like. This is how far I got yesterday. After the video I signed off on, I went ahead and did all this stuff too. And it kind of widened out nicely. And I cleaned things up pretty good. Now I also did some more work this morning here in this field. And I cleaned up a lot of this stuff. Now, the reason I'm not actually working in the field right now is because I ran over something, and I thought I hit a snake. I thought it was a fat snake, but it wasn't. It happened to be two tiny rabbits. And these two tiny rabbits were next to this stick I'm going to point out here in a second, which is a stick that I used here to kind of like, I thought it was a snake, like I said, so I wanted something to kind of touch and make sure the thing was okay or not. And if it was, mortally injured, to, make the horrible decision to assist it in, hitting the Rainbow Bridge or whatever. Anyways, but there's like fur on the ground here by the stick, and that's rabbit fur. So I looked at them real close. I thought these things were moles. I thought they were moles coming out of the ground or something like that. I'd never seen them. And what I see now is that these little these little bunny rabbits are kind of moving around. Here they are. They're right here. And they're moving around. They can't really see. All right. Let me get away from them right now, and I'll pick up the conversation here a little bit. I want to get some good background behind me so I can show up on the screen. Now, I took a little pause there because what I was doing was I was staring at them very closely to make sure that they're okay. And what I observed is they're both moving. Number one, that's good. They're both moving, and they're both breathing very well. So they're breathing on their own. They're okay. They did get a minor injury because you saw where their little nest was, the original nest. And I ran that mower right over them 2, 3, or maybe 4 times. And then I saw some movement. And actually, maybe I only went over them twice. They never got hit with the blade. The blade's 4 inches up off the ground, and they're not small enough to kind of be sucked up into it, thank goodness. They're heavy enough to where they didn't get whacked with the mower. It would have been bits and pieces. I never would have known what I hit. But they didn't get hit by me, but they did probably get hit by a thorn. So one of them had a little cut on him, but it's a superficial wound, but still there was a little bit of blood, and that made me very sad. And then the other one seemed to be perfectly fine, just kind of wiggling around. Now their little eyes aren't open yet, so they're still newborns, but they're not brand newborns. They're not like a couple of days old. They might be about a week old or something. But I want Mama to come back there and start taking care of her baby. So I took her fur. I had my gloves on and everything else. I tried not to get any too much human stink on them. I transferred their nest once, and then I transferred it again to make sure they're under the shade, because I don't want them baking in the sun. Even though they're probably made to handle it, I don't want them sitting there baking in the sun, because sunlight gets through the thickets. There is sunlight in the thickets, but there's more shade than sunlight, and they're not sitting there baking raw in the sun. So I moved them back under some shade. And even though there's some predators around here, Mama and Daddy are around here somewhere. They're not going to leave them too far away. They're going to be kind of like shadow rabbits, and they're probably looking at me, looking at them, and I can't even see them. But my hope is that they will come back and start taking care of their babies. And I am not going to be brush hogging back here until I make sure that those little rabbits are okay. Hopefully the front area here will dry up. I can run the mower up here, and the rabbits will stay back there in that area. So I also want to make a note here. Somebody made a mention that when I overran a thicket bush out front over in Muddy Field, that they were sad to see the rabbits lose their home. And I want to explain that for a minute. That's Muddy Field. And when it rains there, what was the rabbit hole in the thicket bush there floods. So if these babies had been born in that thicket bush, they would have died from drowning, because that thing there gets to be water right up to the bottom of the, right up to the top of the, whatever the rabbit hole was. So when it rains a lot, the rabbits weren't there. That's kind of, I guess, like a little vacation spot for them. But more often than not, I would see them bouncing around out in the field. So I just want to make that note. The rabbits didn't lose a home. They lost their summer cottage. And I will continue to be very, very careful and keep my eyes open for signs of any kind of wildlife nest, and then, you know, work around it or do whatever I need to do to make sure that I protect the wildlife in the field. It's very important for me, or to me, it's very important to me to make sure that I respect the wildlife that has taken into the field and make sure that it still has a home in the field, even though I'm working on it. And that's a very important thing for me, you know, to me, because it's kind of like a promise I make to the animals. You're here, the field is mine, but you can live here, and we'll try to make the best arrangements for you in the field so you can continue to live here. Anyway, so with that, that's my video for the first day of August, for Vlogust, I guess you want to call it. And until I catch you in the next one, take care and be well.